This door did not want to be found. Yet, it couldn't hide what it truly was from Evangeline. The jagged shape of it was unmistakable. One side was a sloping curve, the other a serrated slash forming one half of a broken heart, a symbol of the fated Prince of Hearts. Finally! If hope were a pair of wings, Evangeline's were stretching out behind her, eager to take flight again. After 2 weeks of searching the city of Valenda, she'd found it. When the gossip sheet in her pocket had first announced that the door from the Prince of Hearts church had gone missing, few imagined it was magic. It was the scandal sheet's first article, and people said it was part of a hoax to sell subscriptions. Doors didn't simply disappear. But Evangeline believed that they could. The story hadn't felt like a gimmick to her. It had felt like a sign, telling her where to search if she was going to save her heart and the boy that it belonged to. She might not have seen much evidence of magic outside of the oddities in her father's curiosity shop, but she had faith it existed. Her father, Macmillan, had always spoken of magic as if it were real. And her mother had been from the magnificent North, where there was no difference between fairy tales and history. All stories are made of both truth and lies, she used to say. What matters is the way that we believe in them. And Evangeline had a gift when it came to believing in things that others considered myths, like the immortal fates. She opened the metal grate. The door itself didn't have a handle, forcing her to wedge her fingers into the tiny space between its jagged edge and the dirty stone wall. The door pinched her fingers, drawing a drop of blood, and she swore she heard its splintered voice say, "Do you know what you're about to step into? Nothing but heartbreak will come from this." But Evangeline's heart was already broken, and she understood the risks she was taking. She knew the rules for visiting fated churches. Always promise less than you can give, for fates always take more. Do not make bargains with more than one fate. And, above all, never fall in love with a fate. There were 16 immortal fates, and they were jealous and possessive beings. Before they'd vanished centuries ago, it was said they ruled over part of the world with magic that was as malevolent as it was marvelous. They never broke a bargain, although they often hurt the people they helped. Yet most people, even if they believed the fates were merely myths, became desperate enough to pray to them at some point. Evangeline had always been curious about their churches, but she'd known enough about the mercurial nature of fates and fated bargains to avoid seeking their places of worship. Until 2 weeks ago, when she'd become one of those desperate people the stories always cautioned about. "Please," she whispered to the heart-shaped door, filling her voice with the wild and battered hope that had led her here. "I know you're a clever little thing, but you allowed me to find you. Let me in." She gave the wood a final tug. This time, the door opened. Evangeline's heart raced as she took her first step. During her search for the missing door, she'd read that the Prince of Hearts church held a different aroma for everyone who visited. It was supposed to smell like a person's greatest heartbreak. But as Evangeline entered the cool cathedral, the air did not remind her of Luke. There were no hints of suede or vetiver. The dim mouth of the church was slightly sweet and metallic. Apples and blood. Goose flesh covered her arms. This was not reminiscent of the boy she loved. The account she'd read must have been wrong. But she didn't turn around. She knew fates weren't saints or saviors, although she hoped that the Prince of Hearts was more feeling than the others. Her steps took her deeper inside the cathedral. Everything was shockingly white. White carpets, white candles, white